Now, with that, we're almost done with this application. As you see, we can now update the data, we can add new posts. This all works. But here's something that won't work. Let's say we're done and we want to deploy this application. What we would do then is that we would build the application for deployment. We would trigger a process that's provided by Next.js that prepares the application for deployment and that performs various optimizations and preparation steps. To start that process, you can simply run a script that's part of the Next.js project by running npm run build. That's what you would typically always do before deploying the application. Now this will then go through that build process, and once it's done, it will give you a folder, a next folder, which you can deploy. For now, I don't want to deploy it. Instead, what I want to do here is I want to preview that deployable application. So now I want to run this application not in development mode, but in production mode. Still on my computer here to test it, but without all those extra development mode features. And we can do that after running npm run build by running npm start. That will start a production server of this Next.js application. Now this server will still be available on localhost 3000, and therefore I can simply reload here, but it will now be the production version. And one thing you can immediately see here is that as I switch those pages, that loading text doesn't appear here. Instead, the data is there instantly. Great, it's faster. Yeah, but this comes with a price, and you can see that price if I create a new post. Let's say I want to share a post about a great vacation I had. I prepare the image for that, like this, and I click Create Post. That's all looking good. I'm redirected to the feed page, and where's my post? It's not there. And it's also not there if I reload. It's also not on the starting page. And that is something we did not encounter during development, but we do encounter now in production mode. Because I did mention before that Next.js performs some pretty aggressive caching. And again, I'll get back to that in the next section again. But what Next.js does in the end, when preparing this page for production, is it pre-renders all your pages during that build process and caches those pre-rendered pages. And it then never re-renders them thereafter then, unless they're dynamic pages with dynamic segments, which we don't have here though. So these pages were pre-rendered and they stay that way, so any changes to the data aren't picked up. And that's of course not great. Now what can we do about that? Well, we have to tell Next.js that it should re-render some of these pages whenever we changed the data. And we can do that with help of the reValidatePath function here. We are already using that for changing the like status. And for that reason, for example, liking does work, and those changes are picked up. And you see that now after I liked this, suddenly my new post also appeared. Because when I liked this, I called reValidatePath. And that revalidates all those pages and tells Next.js to throw them out of the cache and recreate them. But of course, the idea is not that I have to like or unlike a post in order to get any new posts. Instead, what we should do is we should also revalidate the data here inside of our create post server action. Before I redirect, I want to call reValidatePath. And I want to make sure that all my pages are revalidated and get their latest data. Now, revalidating all pages is actually not necessary here though, because the new post page, for example, does not need to be revalidated and recreated, but will dive deeper into caching and how you can control in greater detail which parts of the cached data will be revalidated in the next section. For now, I'll just do it like this. And therefore, with that change made, if we stop that production server and we rebuild the project so that the latest code is picked up. And we then thereafter start that production server again. If I now reload this and create another new post, and I share my experience with the delicious paella I had, you'll see that now I'm redirected after this was uploaded and created, and I now see that data right from the start, and I don't have to like or unlike something for it to appear, because now we are revalidating our pages and our paths there whenever we create a new post. By the way, on the starting page, I only see 2 because there I have some code to only fetch the latest 2 posts. So that's not a bug, but instead working the way it should work. And with that, we now finished this application, and you learned a lot about data mutations in Next.js apps and how to perform them with server actions and with a couple of utility hooks and extra features you also might need quite a lot.